Welcome to the Self-Publishing School podcast. This is the podcast to listen to if you're an aspiring writer or an author who wants to be more successful. On this show, you'll learn how to write and launch a book successfully, all from the top authors and people just like you who are doing it at the highest level. I'm your host, Chandler Bolt, the founder of Self-Publishing School, the author of the book called Published, and the CEO of selfpublishing.com. For free training on how to publish a book that sells 10,000 copies, go to selfpublishing.com/free training. Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is Dr. Forbes Riley. She's an award-winning TV personality. She's an entrepreneur. She's the creator of the Spin Gym fitness sensation.
Right here. I've got one of them right here.
Nice. I love it. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see it. This is a fun fact. She's also, obviously has an incredible name, but has hosted over 100 infomercials with 20 years on shopping channels. I'm super fascinated about that. I got a bunch of questions about that. She's been crowned the $2 billion host. She helps people get on TV and look good on TV. And so we got a bunch to unpack here today on how to get on TV, how to land your first TV appearances, bunch of questions. Forbes, welcome. Great to have you.
I love it, Chandler. You know, I'm excited to be here. This is about a year and a half in the making, so I am so jazzed to finally be here with you.
Well, hey, and this is the inaugural, my background doesn't look as good as you. We just moved into our first ever in-person office. So we opened up an office here in Austin, Texas. And so this is the first podcast interview I've done from the office. So it's nothing fancy, but it's a fun day for me as well.
Well, I will tell you what's very impressive is your 2 comma club over your shoulder. I have 2 of those, and I'm very proud of that. That was one of my goals when I started this other part of my career. So
love it.
Yeah, it screams out. Now you need a $10 million one.
Yeah. Well, let's start here. I want to ask a bunch of questions about TV. So we got a bunch of authors that listen to this who want to get on TV to get publicity for their books, get publicity for their business. So let's maybe start there. How did you first break into TV? And what are some steps that you recommend people take to land their first TV appearances?
All right. So do I have the ability to share my screen? Can you give? Yeah, I can. You know, I'm going to share with you my desire to be on television. I'm going to show you a little video that I think will blow you away. Is going to be very, very different from yours. Okay. Because I did it in a time when there was television. People are not watching TV right now. And that is a huge problem. You notice that there's not a lot of television going on? Well, I happened to be there. And there's something about being first to market. When television was just starting, I wanted to be an actress. I had no desire to be a marketer or any of those things. I just wanted to be Julia Roberts and Sandra Bullock. That would have been very nice for me. And I was. I worked on Broadway. I starred, Chandler. I'm sure you've seen my very first feature film. It's called Splatter University. Not a joke. I star in it. It still plays. There's still fans. And someone just wrote the book about splatter. It's a graphic novel and asked me to autograph it, which is kind of funny if you think about it after all of these years, right? And so in the old days when you're an actress, and it's really important, one of the things that I do teach is I teach speaker training, because how do you be on a podcast is speaker training. How do you get on stage? And then how do you sell? I stood next to Russell Brunson at the 10X when he sold 3.1 million. He had 90 minutes. I only had 30 minutes, and I sold $250,000. I will tell you, a lot of your big names out there don't know how to sell and market and enroll. And that is one of the things that I love. So let me just show you this real quick. I went into an audition, like all my auditions, and there's this sitting on the desk. And it's a pen. Now, we've all seen Wolf of Wall Street, which did not exist way back then. I looked at the pen, and Chandler, just like you, and because I think this is who you are, I've always been a little bit of an out-of-the-box thinker. And I said to myself, that literally it said, sell me this pen to the camera. And I thought all those other actresses are going to say it's purple, it fits nice in your hand and sells for $1. I knew that. I said, don't do that. I had no training. I looked at the camera and I said, you know, guys, I was 15 and a half when I got to college. I was really young. I skipped a year of high school. I was nervous. I was shy. My mother used to write me longhand notes in a pen just like this. I would run to the mailbox because I know that a pen like this can reach out and touch somebody's heart. Well, here's what's crazy about that. Jake of Body by Jake came out from behind the camera, grabbed my face and said, you're going to make me a lot of money. He was launching this thing called Fit TV, and I'm going to share it with you just really quick because you almost can't believe it. If you were not around during that time, you didn't know this existed. Ooh, wrong share. Hang on, because I'm very excited to share this. This is like, if there was social media back then, I would have been like, you know,
Total convenience, 24 hours a day. Now get ready for the latest in sports, fashion, and exercise gear on Fitness Plus.
Hi, I'm Forbes Riley, and today we've got a great product for you. Take a look at this. Hi, I'm Forbes Riley, and backed by popular demand, the best way to develop rock-hard abdominals. Hi, I'm Forbes Riley, and welcome to Fitness Plus.
So that's the job I got, okay? And here's what's funny about that, and I'll go over here. I did this for 5 years. There was no onboarding. No one taught me how to do this or how to market. None of that existed back in 1990. And I just intuitively knew there's a slam man and a tooth whitener and a bread maker. And I just understood this concept of pitching. I don't actually know why, neither does Jake. All I know is I was Jake's girl. We shot 5 of these every week. I did 1,500 products in 5 years. And he sold the network to Fox in 1993. Get ready for this. For $500 million. Dang. And then what happened was it was the birth of infomercials. And like you said, I've hosted over 100. Well, I've hosted over 197 of them. And the most famous one of that, which you don't know this unless I show it to you, which is why I'm going on the world tour to do this, because it's too wonderful. I dealt with so many amazing celebrities, but Jack LaLanne, Chandler, do you remember this? For over 50 years. It is my pleasure to introduce to you a couple of living, breathing testimonials to the wonders of juicing, Elaine and Jack LaLanne.
Hello.
Jack,
how are you?
How are you, Elaine?
I want to hug too.
So he was on television for 37 years. Your grandmother loved him. He was actually exercising in a chair with his dogs in black and white TV. That infomercial, guys, it ran 400 times a week in this country. 8 years around the world, and it grossed us $1 billion in sales. This is all before the internet. I know it's like, so I bring the history of television, of infomercials, of how Shark Tank happened, about how all of this gets product on television. So now how does this translate to you? Well, you've got a book. There's 2 things that are the product though that you don't realize. 1 is the book. It's pretty obvious, but 2 is you. You are the product. And I wake up, eat, live, and breathe this concept of pitching. That's what I did with this pen. By telling a story and exciting and engaging and enrolling somebody else. And so now, since COVID hit, about almost 5 years now in March, we started a company designed to teach pitching because it's not a thing. No one does this, right? You've heard of an elevator pitch or an investor pitch. Well, I wake up in the morning, Chandler, and I'm like, honey, could you rub my neck? If he says, yes, that's a pitch, I win. Chandler Bolt said, hey, Forbes, would you be on my podcast? Are you paying me? No. Well, so he didn't make a sale. He did a pitch. And I said, yes. Why did I say yes? Because it serves me. Why did he ask me? Because it serves him. And it's a win-win. And so I am delighted beyond all get out at this point, at this age in this part of my life. I'm 64 years old. And come on, I don't look it right.
You don't look a day over 24.
Well, see, now I'm going to come back on Chandler's show and I'm going to visit his studio and I'm going to help all of his authors get on TV. But but subtly, my friend, that's a pitch. Giving a compliment is designed for the other person's ears. And this is what I've been very good at. I do a webinar on Sundays to tell my life story because it's been pretty tragic and traumatic. And one of the things that I share is that I was a very ugly, awkward little girl. Now, I will tell you that a lot of who and how you become is because of who you are when you're little. And I've done a lot of work with people like that. And I'll tell you why. Because it inhibits you. If you're somebody who sabotages what you do or is stuck or haven't written your chapter or haven't pulled the trigger on things, odds are it's not that you don't know. You look at Chandler and his success and all of his track record, but something's holding you back. So I had a woman come to me just recently. This was heartbreaking. 53-year-old CEO of a company. She said, they're going to fire me. He said, what did you do wrong? She says, I cannot get up and speak. I can't communicate what I'm doing because my palms get sweaty. I get really upset. And last time I just threw up. And I said, but doesn't that seem odd to you? She's like, well, yeah. I said, what happened? We found out that she's 7 years old in 2nd grade. She does a book report. She gets up to speak and she pees on herself. And all of her classmates laugh at her. Her teacher does not help her. And she made a decision in her little brain at that age that said, I'm never doing this again. I am never speaking in public. She forgot she said that. The 53-year-old woman is traumatized because the 7-year-old won't let her speak. We fixed that with one of my techniques. And I got to tell you, she's doing great. And so same thing when you goes to promote your book. You had a lot of desire, energy, and drive to impact the world with your message. But now your job is to sit on a couch on television. And what I ask people to do is go, okay, what are you doing there? odds are the newscaster or the TV host or whatever, even the podcaster, barely wants you because you're not really famous. If you were super famous, Alex Hormozy, come on the show. Oprah Winfrey, come on the show, right? So you've got this book and your goal is there to serve his audience. So what I'm doing today is I could tell you all about me, but that's not really important. What I'm thinking is, what is Chandler's audience? What do you want most from me? And how do I solve that issue and help you? That's what you get to do when you've got a book. How do you serve the audience so they're interested and they thank the host for bringing you on?
That's great. I love that. I've got about 17 follow-up questions, but I'll start with this one. So what is the pitch? You talked about, getting good at pitching, and then you also talked about serving their audience. What is the pitch if you're not famous and you've got a book and you want to get on TV? Like, how can people craft that in a way that gets to a yes to get them that
first
opportunity?
of all, I would say stop wanting to get on TV. The TV that I'm showing you, do you watch TV at all? No, your mother does, or people in hotel rooms. People are not even watching TV, just to be really clear. They do for the news, and there's a couple of news stations. Why would you be newsworthy enough for them to take away from the election and put your book on? So number one, your books better be really impactful and serve an audience. So the most important thing you can do is to take your book and go, okay, everyone always says you can't judge a book by its cover. Yes, you can. In fact, that's all you judge it by. The cover of your book, I have a couple of books lying around here, is all that we get to see. So you get to say anything that you want. There's a formula for pitching. There's 2 formulas, and I teach those. Not that I can give it all to you right now. If I could, I would be an absolute genius. But I will give you I'll give you a free gift. Go to www free gift from Forbes. There is a template there for what I call 1 minute to millions. It is an introductory script. And Chandler, it's fascinating when we go through this. I do a boot camp on this because it looks easy. It is simple. Easy, it's not. So the first thing it says is, hi, my name is. And sometimes we forget to introduce ourselves. Chandler, do you ever go to a networking meeting and somebody says, hi, my name is Forbes Riley, nice to meet you. And you're like, damn, what was her name? Mm-hmm. Say your name, like it matters. The second thing is, I call setting the stage. You have a book in a genre, and you need to know what that genre is and set the stage before you say, hi, I wrote a book because I love it. This happened to me, and it's all about me. But it's not. It's all about the life lesson the reader wants to take away. I believe you never write a book for yourself. You don't write it to write it. You write it to be read. And so you want to come up with the hook, just like we all do in digital marketing. What is that hook? But the hook is about you. So Chandler, I'll ask you the second prompt. And guys, this is a free gift. You get to download the entire template. If you want to come to boot camp to have me work you through it, I'm happy to do that because I think nobody learns to swim from a book. And I think pitching is a skill you must practice. So Chandler, if I said to you, we're at a networking event, I say, hi, nice to meet you. What do you do? What do you tell me?
Say, I help people write books that grow their businesses.
Okay. So could you, now my formula has you do something a little differently. It never has you say the word I help because I didn't ask you who you help. I asked you what you do. Mm-hmm. And I want to know conceptually what you do so I know how I'm going to talk to you next. Congratulations that you do that, but you do a whole lot more. What if I gave you 3 words? And I told you to say it like this. Not I am, but I'm known as. I'm known as the entrepreneurial book writer's best friend. Whoa. Well, what's that? And then you put in the next prompt, which says because I've helped over how many authors?
7,000.
So imagine this, Chandler. You're like, hi, my name is Chandler Bolt. I'm known as the entrepreneurial book writer's best friend because as someone who's got over 7,000 published authors and 50 million in sales, imagine what I could do for your business. Mic drop. Their response should always be, wow, tell me more. Give me your card. And in 2 sentences, you did what I watched you do on stage in an entire hour. Does that make sense? This is how and write this down, guys watching, you excite, you engage, and you enroll. And if that is your intention, not to talk, not to tell, not to teach, those are in fact, I have to write that down. Not to talk, tell, or teach. The T's we don't do. We don't talk, we don't tell, we don't teach. We excite, we engage, and we enroll. That's what pitching is all about. He's like, wow, I just got hit by a storm here.
I'm writing it down on my side too. I love that. Excite, engage, and enroll. Don't talk, tell, or teach. So let's talk. I know you said, hey, forget about being on TV, but I think we got a lot of people listening who are, hey, but I want to be on TV. So
I would say to you, okay, being on TV is nice. In fact, I do another training. I own a television studio where we film it like it's a morning show because I've hosted lots of shows. Because the truth is, think about this for a second. Who's watching TV? But they are going to your website. And so if it looks like you've been on a national television show, and I'm happy to talk to you about maybe a JV relationship, because I literally set it up to make it look like you're on a television show with an amazing interview because I'm a pitch person. I love interviewing people and I know where you're coming from. That footage is what you want to leverage. It's not about the TV appearance. I mean, I went on with my spin gym on the TV series, The Doctors. We sold 38,000 that day and then not one more because the show was over. I took that videotape though and leveraged it all over the place. So if you want to make book sales, you want to be engaging, first of all, the cheapest, freest way to do it is right here on a podcast. There's 500,000 podcasts. And I'm sure you teach a strategy on how to get your book out to the world. I would start with podcasts. And if one of them is so hot, that's what you would send to a TV producer going, look, we put this on YouTube. We got 500,000 hits on it. Your audience is going to want it. Odds are they more likely respect you if you've got the followers to what you're doing than if you just want to get your book on television. Does that resonate?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And
I think it's smart.
It's definitely smart because no one's really watching television. It's great to have that credibility, but you want to get the credibility in a lot of different ways.
Right. And to your point, you use the TV bit to leverage it elsewhere. And so I think it's pretty in alignment with what we teach is that, okay, the TV spot is a credibility play and the podcast spot is more of a book mover. So if your goal is to sell books, podcasts do that because who listens to podcasts? Well, learners and readers. And so they're more like, so if you're trying to optimize for just directly selling books, cool, go on a bunch of podcasts. If you're optimizing for the credibility, the authority, all that, obviously TV still holds a lot of cachet, even if not many people are watching it.
Well, I'm going to give you a private link and I would love to examine this because if we conclude that having the footage is the most important, we can get you the footage because it's very hard to get on television. Just so you know, it's hard for celebrities to get on television and they're all vying for their movies. There are a lot of big bucks. So odds are, unless you become very friendly with your local TV person, it's not going to happen out of the gate. But I may have a solution for you and I'm going to share it with you off camera.
Cool. What would you start if someone's just like, hey, I'm dead set on the TV route, do you start local?
Well, again, I gotta go back to what is it that you want from this? And is your topic so darn interesting? Do you have a book in mind that you think was TV worthy that you just did? Give me some idea. Let me maybe see if I can poke holes in it or elevate it up.
Let's see. I would say first one that comes to mind is a book called Skip the Flip. It's on real estate investing and flipping houses.
Okay. So do you think that's worthy of local news? And
I think
again,
it could be, yeah.
Well, but you really see, I also spent almost 30 years on home shopping. On home shopping, let me get real about the coaching here. You have to sell on home shopping $2,000 to $5,000 a minute of your product. So I'm not interested in products that you can't take them on because they just won't work. And the oddest things work, like, for example, taking on my spin gym. I sold 64,000 of these in one day. This has been a very long journey, but home shopping is designed to sell products. Fitness is a good category, and I don't sell the product. Here's what I sell. Chandler, lift up your right arm. Everybody watching, feel the bottom of it. Is it a little nice and tight or a little bit of wiggly jiggly? Yeah, oh, look at that little sag there. I'll tell you what, you give me 5 minutes while you're sitting on a Zoom call, my friend, and we're going to tighten that up. Maybe you have a wife, girlfriend, or mother. And all of a sudden, I've got 4 sales from this one moment. And all I did was make you smile and go, damn, I need one of those. And I need it in pink. I want one in blue. I'll give my grandmother one in silver. So now we're thinking real estate flipping. There's TV shows for that. If you can get a television show done, but why would I put you on? Who are you and how does it serve my audience? Because if it's more self-serving for you to sell your book or your course, TV is not interested in that. TV is mass market. They've got to get the mom and dad at home. So if it was fix and flip for grandmas or for seniors, senior flip and fix. That's a topic that all of a sudden is like, you know what? TVs are playing, right?
Yeah.
And now that is something so that seniors who have no money, or if you put out a book that says, guys, the top 10 secrets to get money on a hurricane relief, that's going to sell right now on the news.
Yep.
Fix and flip is like, okay. You think you got to have hooks in ads for Instagram and for Facebook? You got to have a real hook for television.
And so let's talk about that, coming up with the concept of coming up with a hook for TV. And I guess I'm sure it's probably different with the infomercial world and the news world. Now, sure, I'm sure there's overlap of like the hooks need to be good either way. But how can someone say, I've got a book on this thing, how can people find the hook that's compelling? Because I think you just kind of did it with that skip the flip book. It's like, oh, how can I localize it to what's happening right now with this hurricane? Or how can I demographically target it? Like, how do you think through turning maybe a more generic book into a specific hook that's made for TV?
Well, first of all, with print on demand, you could literally change your title and probably keep the content pretty similar. If it was Fix and Flip for Seniors, I could get that on television in Orlando, where the villages are, and there's 100,000 seniors watching television. The demographics, and by the way, there's not a lot of infomercials out there. Infomercials, again, is a dying art because television died. Infomercials were infamous for just randomly being on in the middle of the night. I have a couple that still run, and I will tell you why, because they are so urgent. I just saw an insole one that's still running, but you don't usually see house cleaners anymore. You see the My Pillow guy on Fox. People love that quick 2-minute infomercial. The one I'm doing is for a free heart scan, because if you got heart issues and after COVID, a vaccine, everyone is suffering, and then you upsell into a cancer scan. We took that company from about 50,000 to about 50 million in the last 4 years. It is crushing it because seniors are the one watching television. It airs in every hotel room, in every, people who are still watching soap operas or, the reality shows. Again, I don't want to go against any of your teaching. Being on television rocks, and more power to you. I've done it a lot. It's more trouble sometimes. They also want you to bring, if there's an audience, you have to pay for books for the entire audience. Like if you get on a Tomorrow Show or Sherry Shepherd, that cost me a lot. When I took this on the doctors, it was like a $10,000 investment to get my product out for free to them, fly myself up there, et cetera, et cetera. I would say that I love these 3 words: research, strategy, and leverage. I would, if you had a book and you've got something unique about your flip and you just can't say flip. There's too many books out there about that. What is your unique take on this? Do you flip for, under a certain amount of money? Or do you flip to be Airbnbs? What is topical right now, and hone in on that? And then I would, if I were you and I had a book, and I have lots of different books, I would leverage the audience that wants that book. So I just spoke at 2 real estate conventions. They would have loved if I had a flip and fix book that was really tangible. I did one in New Hampshire, one in Boston. They're everywhere. I would get on a speaking tour about that book with real estate professionals. And there's tons of them, and they're not doing as well as they could. So I just always think, who's the book targeted to, and let's get it in their hands.
I love that. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to come back to the infomercial stuff here in just a second. But you talked about speaking gigs. So I feel like there's a lot of parallel to getting booked on TV and getting booked to speak at an event. How many speaking gigs are you doing a year, and how are you primarily booking those?
Well, I'll tell you what, hundreds. I do hundreds virtually. I was on a tour for 2 years with Deepak Chopra, Les Brown, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee. I was one of the only 2 females. It was me and Sharon Lechter, the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And how I got that one, which is fascinating, we were in Clubhouse, which was a great medium for me. And one night I just simply said, there's not enough female role models out there. I've got male speakers and up the wazoo. I've got Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar. I could go down the list, Gary Vee. Where's the women? The next morning, I had a phone call in my box that said, or a phone call that said, hey, would you be interested in joining this virtual tour? And every month, they had 3,000 audience for us. It was pretty amazing. And I built some low-cost, affordable courses and made a fortune. Now, how do I continue doing that? Well, and I will say you need to train to be a speaker. I train speakers, and I'll tell you what I do differently. 3 things differently. 1, I'm a Broadway actress. voice, posture, physical, that is really important. I don't know many people qualified to teach that who are not Broadway actresses. By the way, I have a new movie coming out, just so you know, in 2 weeks. We shot this last year. It's an action-packed Western called Black Creek. If you like martial arts, it is a martial arts-based kind of Western, and I'm the bad girl. I own the brothel and create havoc in town and get to wear cool clothes. That's launching October 9th in Los Angeles. So that's that's what I bring to my whole package. The second thing is all the technique. You need your signature story. I have a thing called the index card system where you lay out your stories, and I tell people, this is the most gratifying part about speaking. The worst part of your life is the best part of your speech. Most people don't want to go there, but that is why they're hiring you. That is why Nick Svacek, who walks out with no arms and no legs, has an audience, because his message is, if I can do this, any of you can do this, and you can walk and you can brush your hair. I can't. I've been through some massive trauma in my life. I share that on stage, and I inspire people to do similar things. So if you've had a reason to write a book, you have even more reason to be on stage. Because can I give you one of my tips? All right, this is actually one of my books, One Habit to Thrive in a Post-COVID World. I actually have the largest book that you can print at 820 pages.
I was going to say, that sucker's massive.
Well, this is a compilation book that we did during COVID, and it was a phenomenal journey. I'm happy to share with you how that happened one day, but that would be me and the publisher, who sadly passed away from COVID. And it shattered me, because we were going to do an entire One Habit world, and we were doing it, and he died. And I'm very sad about that. Yeah. But I will tell you, the people in this book, forward by Les Brown, there's tons of celebrities in this book. The guy who played Hercules, and the guy who created Uggs and Pictionary, and we've got pro wrestlers, gold medals, all in this book. It was easy to sell this book and make it a bestseller because there was a lot of people promoting it. You're so good at getting books done. I mean, I watched you and I love what you're doing. And I would love to have this conversation, because my specialty is getting it out to the world. It hurts my heart. I share a story about my dad. He was an inventor, a magician, a mechanic, and he was crazy, and I loved it. And his garage was filled with things that he was tinkering on. I'm sitting there one day, and it's a small little house that we had, 1 bathroom, 3 bedrooms. And he said to me, "Kiddo, how do I get my ideas out to the world?" I said, "Dad, I have no idea. I'm 8. Well, when my dad died, something really tragic happened. All the guys came in to clean out. They took all of his tools and they threw away most of the things that were my invention, toys and things we played with, because they were trash. So the truth is, if you've even written a book and you don't get it out to the world, when you pass, no one will care. So I believe your job after you write it or during writing is figuring out whose hands does this deserve to be in. And I'm here because Chandler was speaking on stage. I was glued to, he's got a great style on stage. I was glued. So when I talk about the 3 things that I do differently, 1, as an actress, your speech, your standing, your communication skills. 2, the signature story, your mission, all the things that go into what the speech is. And then 3, part of it's your social media. Is it all up to speed? When I go to your pages, do I know what you're doing? Does it support? Or are you one of those people who I meet all the time, Mr. Chandler, who are like, well, I've just written a book, but I started a course and I walk dogs and I love cooking and it's all over the place. When you're promoting your book, focus on that. It's the most important thing in the world at that moment, your message and getting it sold to people. Now, one of the things I do on stage, because very often there's 2 ways to be on stage. They'll either pay you, and you can get paid $10,000, $20,000 for your speech, which is what's in your book. You're not selling, you're just delivering value. If I were a fix and flipper and I knew some secret things, I would be going to real estate conventions. They're everywhere. There's 50,000 people going through there. There's 1,000 in an audience. Get on stage with your message and then say, guys, you know what? Just so you know, I have a book. Put it right here. Touch it on your heart. This is a technique. And then point over there in the back table where you are. By the way, I went to Chandler's back table because I really wanted to connect with this man. And over there, I will not only be signing copies. I got a couple to give away for free, maybe first person who gets up there. But I would love you to get the information in the book right over there. I don't have enough time to talk about it here. Go back to your value. Because nobody wants to buy a book, but they sure do want information. They sure do want to be uplifted. They want to be connected. So you're not selling the book. You're selling the reason they want the book, and that is a pitch.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to put my book close to my heart here. Remind me what event it was that you saw me speak at?
It was the first one after COVID. It was at Ryan Pineda's event in Los Angeles.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
never forgot. I thought what you do is, let me share something with you about books. I've been in compilation books, about 30 of them, of all different levels. I did my own. This one was a publisher who came to me with an idea, and he wanted people to bring a habit and an unhabit. And he said to me, compilation books can be very expensive. You can pay $2,000, $4,000, $10,000 to be part of a really quality book. He said the chapters are $450, only 3 pages long, and I would need 100 authors to put your picture on the back. Chandler, I just started my online company about pitching, the Ultimate Pitch, the Ultimate Pitch Academy. And I said, I'm going to get all of them in 24 hours. He said, no, it takes 3 to 6 months. I said, no, you don't understand. I have very committed students, 24 hours, watch this. And I did. And then I put my celebrities in. And I loved that JV relationship because he was a finisher and I was a dreamer and a visionary. Yeah. Do you have kids, by the way?
I don't yet.
Oh, well, one day when you do, make sure you have enough to employ. And I'll tell you. Can I ask, how old are you?
I am 31.
Yeah, all right. So I didn't even get married until I was 35. I had my babies at 42. Let me tell you something that's crazy about life. My daughter, who was my best friend traveling around, because again, I had a very traumatic childhood. And so when she was born, she and her twin brother, she loved to come around with me and do things at home, hang out at home shopping. And I didn't really notice that this little girl was taking notes, 6 years old, sitting backstage at home shopping. And I get off set. We sold pretty well. And she's like, Mom, I have to say, I took some notes here. Your models weren't smiling. Your host said this, and I don't think you should be doing that. I'm like, you're 6. My producer doesn't say this. Why are you saying this? Well, who knows? We were creating the entrepreneur of all time. She ended up being, she walked up to Russell. Oh my God. She was doing websites and coding when she was 12 to about 15 and building websites and landing pages for Les Brown and Joe Theismann and other ones of my friends. She comes down at 17 doing COVID upstairs with her brother and said, Mom, what are you doing? And I said, nothing. The world has stopped. I'm not doing anything. She's like, my mom's doing nothing? We're putting your pitch stuff online. I'm like, kiddo, look, and this was 5 years ago. I said, I don't know how the whole internet thing works. She said, I gotcha. Because when she was with me when I did my 10X speech with Grant Cardone, Russell spoke right after me. She walks up to Russell at rehearsal, and I have it on YouTube, and says, Russell, nice to meet you. I love your platform, but there's some bugs in it that you need to fix. Well, next thing you know, she's a junior board of advisor at ClickFunnels, and we started a coaching company. And I'm going to share something with you guys too. When you're standing at the base of a mountain, the mountain looks really tall. But you've seen people like Chandler climb it. That's part of what the Chukama Club is. You've seen lots of other people climb it. How do you climb it? The same way you eat an elephant, one bite or one step at a time. And we put 25 people in a room on the first webinar I ever did. I'd never done one, although I did infomercials. And I had $1,000 pitching product that I was going to do for a month with people, right? I thought it was worth $1,000. The next morning, and I hope you appreciate this, Chandler, my ClickFunnels used to have $1.98 in it. I sold 3 copies of something. And in there, I didn't have any idea how to set it all up. She sets it up. We do the webinar. I call her the next morning. I'm like, what does the K stand for? I said, what do you mean? I said, well, it said 0 yesterday. Now it says 25K. What is the K? She's like, Mom, you made $25,000 last night. You sold everybody in the room your product. I'm like, dude, we did that 4 times in a row. That's $100,000. 6 months later, I had one of those plaques.
Wow. That's a great kid.
Yeah, so have a couple of them. Just make sure.
Hey, we're almost at time here. I've got maybe a final question or two. I'm just super curious on the infomercial stuff. What did you learn from all that? I mean, what makes because I'm sure there's a lot of crossover to speaking, to sell, et cetera. What makes a great infomercial that actually converts?
You know what, Mr. Chandler? I'm sorry, we're in the right, hopefully I can find it right now. Oh, I don't know where I put it. I'm putting out a book for the first time with my name on it, just my name, called Pitch Secrets A to Z, for exactly that reason. And there's a section in there about infomercials. What did I learn? How do you get someone's attention in the middle of the night? All right, I'm going to do a little exercise with you. Pick up something on the desk. I'm going to put Chandler on the spot for all of his family. All right. So okay, that is interesting.
I figured, I was like, this might be an attention grabber.
All right, so pitch it to me. You get 20 seconds. Go.
Oh, this is an incredible artisan Well, actually, I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna take a page out of your book. You ever need to write anything?
Bingo. All right. You win. Dude. All right. You make a
You ever
great.
lose your pen?
Okay. So what Chandler just did is exactly the first thing we teach. When you pick up a product, this is your natural inclination is to say, look, I have a product here. I love it. It's amazing. You're about ready to do that. And what the teaching says is don't tell somebody they need it. Don't tell someone how wonderful it is. Get them to want it. So you did beautifully. You immediately went, wait a second. What if you had something sitting on your desk because you're always looking for that pen? That's why I pitch Spin Gym the way I do. Any product, I would, if this was a mouse, right? And because what happened on home shopping, and this is one of the things I learned, I'll be pitching a product. They'll whisper in my ear, you're sold out, go to a new product. And you're like, oh no, I have a rock here with a love thing on it. Boom. And one of the principles in my formula is called FEBIT, features and benefits. If I'm going to pick up this immediately, I'm going to go, okay, what's a feature benefit? Hey guys, you know what? You know what everybody needs in their life? There's songs about it. L-O, finish it for me. V-E, we all need love in our lives, yeah? If you're sitting at a desk and you're working, I don't know about you and your coworkers, there's not a lot of love going on. So what if I told you you could see that word, feel that word every day in the shape of a rock? I know that sounds crazy, but the phones would go crazy for that. So what I learned is don't tell people what they need. That's the most important thing. So how does this translate to your book? No one needs your book. Own that. Okay. So if they don't need my book, how do I get them to want my book? So, hey guys, if you're somebody in real estate, forget real estate. You're somebody who like to make more money passively. Let me tell you something. If you're at all creative and artistic, and if you're not, you don't want my book. But if you got a little bit of edge, how you fix and flip, there's a science to it, a step-by-step system. And I think you can do it with no money down. You want all of that? It's right here in this book. I'll give you the secrets. That's how you do it. We can do that with any book you've got.
I love it. That's super interesting.
Well, do it with your book. Pick up your book for a second because you did it really well. You totally hooked me. So when you hold this book up, first, it's a good title. It's catchy. Published. I love it. The Proven. Now listen to the words that he's used, which are very NLP oriented. The Proven Path. I don't want just a path. The Proven Path from blank page, which we've all stared at, to 10,000 copies sold. That is a genius pitch right there. Everything about that, I love and I can go through this step by step. The red is a really stop type thing. The pencil's kind of fun and catchy. And I like it as a proven system and I all want to be published. That's awesome. So when you're on stage, you know what to do. So what do? You don't talk about the book. You tell everybody in the audience, look, you've got a story to tell. And I know if you're standing at a blank page, what if I told you I have a proven system to get the ideas in your head published in a book? That's excite, engage, and then you enroll. Go to the back of the room. Let's sign up. Let's get this done. And so my hope for you would be that we teach, or that you teach your entrepreneurs who've done books, the step-by-step system to getting them seen, because published is not seen. And now I need a book called Seen.
Well, hey, I know a guy that can help you with this book. Forbes,
right.
This has been awesome. Maybe one of the more fun, dynamic, entertaining interviews I've done in a really long time. Where can people go to find out more about you, your books, your programs, or whatever would be most helpful?
All right. So my name is very unique. It's Forbes Riley. Go to ForbesRiley.com. And every Sunday, and I'm crazy. This is the part of my life where I'm giving back. I still do movies and television, and I have a great career, and I get paid about $50,000 to go into a company for the afternoon and do what I just did with you guys. I don't charge anywhere near that. In fact, every Sunday for $19, and I know it's a crazy number, I would invite you to come meet me live and do what I just did with Chandler. We got about 50 to 200 people come to a room. I teach a little bit, and then I work with people so you can start to change your hearing. That is called pitchsecretsmasterclass.com. And I am there live, and I love it. It's 2 hours of my week, and I do it because when you get to a point, when you get wildly successful, all you want to do to be happy is give back. So if you want to step in or lean up, I love doing this. It's my great joy to up-level, uplift, and empower, obviously, people who deal with Chandler, because writing books is my heart. Like I said, I've got a dozen of them. I'm now releasing my very first one. We're almost finished, called Pitch Secrets. And the funny thing is, Chandler, I'm going to be doing all the things I'm telling you. I'm going to be doing the book readings. I'm going to be doing the podcast, as much television as I can. Again, I look at the title. Now, why would a newscaster, why would a morning show want to pitch secrets? Well, what if the tagline was the true secret to getting anything and everything you want in life? What does it have to do with pitching? Well, that's good enough to get me on a show.
Nice. I love that. PitchSecretsMasterclass.com. Forbes, this is fun. Thank you so much.
You are awesome, my friend. Now I look forward to having you on my show so I can find out more about you. I have a weekly radio show that airs on Wednesdays live all over from iTunes to Voice America. And I would love to interview you. And I'll put something out. If you've got some authors who are timely, who are great on camera, and have good messages, let's get them out. Let's give them some publicity, shall we?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you, Forbes.
Bye, you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Self-Publishing School podcast. I know there's so many places that you can be spending your time. There's other podcasts that you could be listening to, YouTube channels that you could be watching. So thank you so much. It means the world. Now, I want you to do 3 things right now if you found this episode helpful. All right, number 1, I don't know if you know this, but we've got a YouTube channel. It's a companion channel to this podcast. All the video versions of the episode are on the YouTube channel. So number 1, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Number 2, if you're listening to this podcast wherever, whether this is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, number 2, I want you to subscribe to this podcast right now so you don't miss a future episode. And then number 3, this is probably the most important, leave a review on the podcast. All right, reviews are super important and help the podcast get discovered by other people. So number 3, leave a review on the podcast. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. If you're on the fence about scheduling a publishing consultation call with my team, maybe you're not quite ready for that, I've got some free training that I think will be really helpful for you. All right, all you have to do is go to register to sign up. Go to selfpublishing.com/free training. When you do, you're also going to get a free digital copy of my new book, Published. And on that training, you're going to learn the next steps, so how to implement with your book. So how to write, how to publish, how to launch successfully. So go to register right now at selfpublishing.com/free training. I'll see you there.